Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris Man, and as always, I thank you guys for coming to my channel. Today I have another question from a subscriber, and sometimes what I do is I just post these responses on my channel so everybody can kind of learn from the answers that I'm giving to the questions. And this is a pretty interesting one, and I'm going to read it to you verbatim. Then I'm going to give you my opinion on what needs to be done, how it needs to be done. Says, hello Morris Man, your videos and advice are so inspiring and keep people doing the right things in music, especially the one when you explain easy and complicated artists by the way they write and progressions. I would be grateful if you could help me with some advice. I'm a beginner with guitar and I would like to write on the styles of the 80s and 90s. These interesting chord structures in their music. Here are some great examples, and then he goes on to give me links to some of the artists from the 80s and 90s, and I'm going to give you my opinion on that. First, I want to say this, and this is not a sales pitch, it's just putting you in the right direction. It's a must if you're interested in learning how to play the guitar the right way and not waste a lot of years and thousands of dollars. Purchase my DVD pack. My DVD pack consists of 7 DVDs, well technically 6 because lesson 5 and 6 is on one disc. So you get 6 physical discs, over 7 hours of me walking you through how to become a good rhythm guitar player. It's a tried and true method because been there, done that. I can remember in my late teens or early teens, I was at the beginning. And I learned from people that taught me a lot of things, and one person that really put me in a direction that just let me, as they say, kick the barn door down was a gentleman from the Conservatory of Music in Chicago, Illinois. Because I went to a countless amount of teachers like everybody else, and I just had questions. I'm like, why am I being taught this stuff, and it's not going to help me to learn this stuff? Just be quiet and learn. So I tried to be quiet and learn, but it made no sense to me. And I was like, there got to be another way. So I met this gentleman, Conservatory of Music, explaining to him what I was trying to accomplish. And I kid you not, within one lesson with him, I only had one lesson, unfortunately, because it was kind of expensive. The next week, I went to the music store and bought sheet music for the first time and played it from start to finish. Something that other people or teachers were trying to supposedly teach me for years. This one guy nailed it in 35 minutes, sit down with me and told me what I need to work on and how I can get there. So I compiled the way that he was teaching me along with some stuff that I've stumbled upon on my own, like the majority of the sheet music, at least back then, was in first position. But guess what? R&B stuff is not in first position. It's like in the middle of the neck, somewhere between the 5th and the 12th fret. Not on the first fret, switching open chords. That's country and western. It's pop music. It's other bluegrass country, but it's not R&B funk. So no one ever taught me that. No one ever put me to the side and say, this is how you do it for R&B funk stuff. You want to do the country and western stuff, which is cool too, do it this way. So for $35, and that includes shipping and handling inside the United States at $15, I take you there. I start you from the beginning as far as learning chord progressions and the chords you need to learn up until learning how to write and structure a song. No one had ever taught me that teaching me the guitar. They just never taught me stuff like how to identify the verses, how to identify chord-wise the choruses, how to identify modulation, meaning changes of keys and things of that nature. So if you're really serious, Andy, I would strongly suggest that you purchase that and get started on playing guitar the right way, because all the answers or questions you've asked in here, all those answers are in this instructional DVD. So I'm going to tackle this, and I'm going to give you my perspective from, I guess, a music A&R guy. Because actually I was offered a couple of those jobs on many occasions. I turned them down because I'm not an asshole. Most of those guys are assholes, and it's not what I think a lot of people think or would like to believe, and it would only make sense that the music industry love music. No, they love making money off music. They don't give a shit what they put out on the radio, as long as it's making them money. So with that said, it's kind of unfortunate, but that's the realization. And you said something in your question, which I understand, because I'm like, if I had a time machine, I would get in that bad boy, dial it to the 80s, go back and stay forever, because that was a great time for me personally. And I did love the music. I love the music, the social climate, the fashion, everything. But unfortunately, things changed. And when you state that you would like to write on the 80s and 90s, not a good idea. Just because let's just say this, if you was only doing it for this purpose. I'm pursuing another career. I'm going to school. I'm trying to get my degree in this, and I'm going to do this for a living, which will feed me, house me, pay for my kids' college tuition, and so on and so forth. But my hobby is I like to write retro. That's fine. But if you're thinking about trying to do this as a living at some point in time, not a good idea because been there, done that. There is no market for retro music, because I did a video a while back called Vaudeville is Dead. No, Vaudeville is not coming back. And for those who don't know what vaudeville is, back in the early 1900s, people would get on stage. It usually be two guys, the straight guy and the comedic guy or the stupid guy. And they would do these routines and sing and things of that nature. And it was very entertaining. But that left back in the 60s, the early 60s, and it's not coming back. So don't put too much energy on something that's retro because no one is going to want to hear it. If you're trying to get into business, and right now you might not be thinking that you are, but if you become a good guitar player and start writing, most likely you might end up getting into the business. So if that's going to be the route that you're going to be taken into, you have to write, unfortunately, on current styles. That's why I was fortunate enough that I grew up in an era where I loved and I was writing in that era and I made a lot of money, doing that stuff during that time and then still getting residual income from the stuff I did 25 years ago, but unfortunately, when you get into the business, you got to write on the style that's current. They don't want to hear some retro stuff. They want to hear, can you do the R. Kelly style stuff or something of that nature? Because once you take my lessons, the stuff that you asked about as far as the chord progressions, you'll be able to figure that out yourself because it's real simple. Once you learn chord progressions and can reach chord charts, and when you play the stuff from any era, you see a pattern. I'll give you a good example. The 60s and the 70s for R&B music, the bread and butter chords for ballads was the major 7 chord. Just about every song in R&B during that time, 60s, 70s, had a major 7 chord. Several of them. You fast forward now to 216, 217, and the R. Kelly kind of style stuff, it's been replaced with the minor 7 chord, rocking back and forth. There's really no major 7 chord in a lot of these songs today. So you'll be able to figure that out once you learn how to read chord charts and start to develop your ear. And then you can go back and look at visually what they're doing or know what they're doing because you see it visually on paper that you can go back and write on those styles. Just like if somebody were to ask me today, could you write me a little cool 50s jingle? I can because I know the structure of how they wrote back in that day. If they were to ask me, could you write me some of this psychedelic hippie stuff, 60 stuff? I could do it because I know what type of chords that they use and the structure that they used it. Same thing with hardcore old 70s stuff. And real easy for the stuff now. It's like, okay, I can write 2 chords back and forth, minor 7 chords, rocking back and forth, then a little bridge chord and go back to those same 2 chords rocking out and rocking back and forth and call it a day. So the answer to that question is once you learn the basics, because you got to learn the basics. You can't be a beginner and have a projection of 10 years down the line where it's like, I'm not a really good guitar player yet, but I want to do this. That's going to come down the line. Focus on the basic stuff first, learning basic chord progressions because in the DVD that I sell, $35, you get this chord chart. And this chord chart is what really put me in the direction of, okay, I'm on my way. My instructor gave it to me years ago, and he said, work on these because here's the cool thing. And actually, I had about 4 sheets of these, and he gave me different inversions. But guess what? Just these 2 here is the only 2 I've ever really worked on. There's a 3rd one here I never even played because I don't need to. Everything is here that I'm trying to do, basically. And what these is like 5 chords that are used in most songs. And the second one, which is built on the A string, the root, guess what? They're the same chords, just different fingering. So I don't have to learn 10 different chords. To learn 5 different chords, 2 different inversions. You might ask yourself, what is an inversion? An inversion is a chord played on another string as far as the root built on that string, and you just different fingering. That's it. And the difference between that is one of them might be bright. Like if I was playing a C major 7 root on the A string, it's bright because it's built on the 3rd fret. and then the other one on the A string is built down further on the neck, so it gives you a brighter sound versus this one. And depending on the type of song you're playing and the chord that the guy's playing on the record, you can determine which ones he's using, because you can hear the tonality. One of them is kind of bright, one of them is kind of dark, or somewhere in the middle. And once your ears start to develop, and one might ask, how do your ear develop? Real simple. Keep playing. You have to go out and buy apps or special programs that's going to teach you, because nothing needs to teach this. The only way, the way that this learns naturally is just keep playing, and your ear just keep listening, and your ear will tell you, no, that's not it. Try this one. Try this one. Because you never stop learning. Your ear never stopped developing, because maybe 3 years ago, I did Maze. What song is that? Feel That You're Feeling. When I first did that song, I was not playing in the voicing as the guitar player on the record, but it was enough to get by. But then I listened to that song because I found it in the archives about maybe 2 weeks ago. I said, this don't sound nothing like the version on the record. Let me figure out what he's doing. And I figured it out. Because normally in R&B songs, it's somewhere down the middle of the neck, but that particular song's kind of clever, played in kind of open position. And then I figured it out. I was like, this is exactly, or 99.9 what he's doing on that record versus what I was doing 3 years ago playing that. And again, that's a testament of how your ear just continues to develop and keeps developing. That's why I'm able to hear bass notes and play it on the bass. That's why I'm able to hear bass notes on synthesizer and play it on there. That's why I did that R. Kelly Feeling on Your Booty synthesized cover, because that's what they're using on the record. They're not using an electric bass, they're using a synth bass. I'm like, I can figure those notes out. It's only like 4 up through the whole song, or figure it out on piano, or figure it out on guitar. Your ear takes you past that one main instrument that you're working on. It would take you and allow you to play other different instruments. Now, playing them well is a different story, because, again, I've been playing piano almost as long as guitar. The comparison is no comparison. I play guitar on a professional level just to kind of stand in, fill in piano guy in my band. And unfortunately, I don't think that that's ever going to change, because I'm like, the stuff I learned on the guitar in 3 years, when I bag it up 3 years, I'm like, I learned more. 3 years later, I learned more and I'm better. I learned more. Piano, I'm still stagnated and stuck. I ain't going nowhere. And I tried to make an effort to say, well, let me get out of that and try to learn. And my keyboard player was sitting down with me. I was like, you know what? I'm just a good guitar player. I'm just going to leave it at that. And he laughed. He said, yeah, everybody, can't really, I guess, master instruments like a Prince or Ray Parker Jr. or Barry White or Isaac Hayes. And a lot of people, and Paul McCartney, a lot of people don't realize those guys play multiple instruments. And the thing with Prince was that was the advertising niche for him. They said, let's market this young guy as a genius that can play everything well. Those other guys could play just as well as Prince as far as these other instruments, but they didn't market them that way because they weren't trying to take them in that direction, but marketing is interesting. But anyway, hopefully that's the answer to your question. I strongly urge that you start from the ground up and build, in the first I guess, train of thought, I'm kind of tired. The first thing you want to do is purchase the DVD lessons and study the chords. And then you will build from there. Trust me, once you get on that path, you're going to be taken to where you want to go. So hopefully that has answered your question. As far as writing on a certain style, there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I like writing on the 80s style. And what makes the 80s so different, and I'm going to end it with this, it's not so much the chords or the chord progression to capture the 80s and 90s sounds. It's the sounds. It's the synthesizers. It's how they played the synthesizers. And during that era, there was not a lot of guitar going other than a little picking. And then the poor bass player kind of got weeded out because synthesized bass kind of took over his spot. So if they did have a bass player, only thing he did was like little slaps, bam, 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 throughout the song, but not really carrying the bass notes. So that's what that is. It's not so much that they're using unique or different chords, because just about every chord that I use in those songs are in my DVD lesson. So it's arrangements what really kind of makes a certain image, or should I say a certain musical style, because in the 80s or late 80s, early 90s, I was loving that music because it was a lot of synthesized stuff. I love synthesizers. I love that you can, do different sounds with these modules as opposed to just guitar, because guitar is just guitar. Whether it's guitar with distortion on it, guitar with chorus on it, delay, it's just guitar. But with keyboards, you know, you can incorporate all these different sound patches that just are so beautiful. Because, you know, I love what's called the intro patch or the soundscape, where there's not being played throughout the entire song. It starts at the beginning. It could be just really nice synth swell, and it sounds real, you know, atmospheric like. But until next time, take care, and I hope that this video has been helpful to you guys.